Here's the English translation of your Christmas fairy tale. The Little Christmas Warrior. 8-year-old Henry Wilson was the youngest child in his family, with a mop of curly brown hair and bright blue eyes full of curiosity. This Christmas, the Wilsons had decided to break tradition. All 12 family members were going on vacation to Hawaii. Henry was so excited the night before that he couldn't sleep. He kept opening and closing his suitcase at least 5 times, making sure his favorite toy soldiers and his jungle survival guide were packed. "Hurry up, kids. The taxi's here," Mr. Wilson shouted from downstairs, his voice tense with urgency. Henry was in the bathroom when he heard his mother call from outside, "Henry, are you done? Everyone's already in the car." "Almost," Henry yelled back, quickly washing his hands. But by the time he ran downstairs, the house was empty, the front door wide open, and the taxi was already disappearing around the corner. "Wait! I'm not in the car yet." Henry chased after it, but the taxi was gone. He stood on the porch in his pajamas and slippers, still clutching his favorite dinosaur toothbrush. Back inside, he tried calling his parents, but all their phones were off. They were already on the plane to Hawaii. Henry sat on the stairs, tears welling up in his eyes. But then, a thought made his face light up. "The whole house is mine now," he whispered, grinning. For the next few hours, Henry enjoyed a freedom he'd never had before. He ate 3 bowls of ice cream, turned the living room couch cushions into a fort, and watched all the TV shows his older siblings usually forbade. As night fell, he stomped around the house in his dad's oversized slippers, feeling like a giant. Snowflakes drifted down on Christmas Eve, and Henry stood by the living room window, admiring the frost-covered garden. Suddenly, 2 shadowy figures crept across the street and stopped outside his fence. Henry ducked, peeking over the windowsill. They were 2 men, in ill-fitting Santa costumes, one tall and skinny, the other short and round like a bowling ball. They whispered to each other, occasionally pointing at Henry's house. Henry recognized them, the Christmas bandits from the news, known for breaking into homes while families were away on holiday. "Oh no!" Henry gasped, his heart pounding. He looked around the empty house. Then his eyes landed on his jungle survival guide in the corner, and a daring plan formed in his mind. "I'll turn this house into a jungle battlefield," he whispered, springing into action. First, he ran upstairs and poured his brother's entire marble collection at the top of the staircase. Then he grabbed bags of flour from the kitchen and rigged a flour bomb over the front door, using chairs and rope. Next, he placed his remote-controlled race car at the end of the hallway, taping down the throttle so it could zoom out at any moment. Finally, he spread plastic sheets over the back door entrance and sprayed them with the garden hose. On a freezing night like this, the water would turn to ice in no time. With all his traps set, Henry turned off all the lights, except for the twinkling Christmas tree. He hid in the closet under the stairs, peeking through the crack in the door, gripping his mom's metal frying pan like a weapon. Click! The front door lock gave way. The tall bandit peeked inside, sweeping a flashlight across the dark living room. "Looks like nobody's home," he muttered to his partner. "Let's get to work, Chubbs." The round bandit rushed in eagerly, only to step right onto Henry's marbles. "Whoa, ah!" he yelped, sliding down the stairs like a bowling pin and crashing into the wall. The tall one hurried to help, but triggered the flour trap. 5 kilograms of flour rained down, turning them into snowmen. "Cough, what the? Someone's here," the tall bandit wheezed. Henry stifled a laugh and pressed the remote in his pocket. The race car roared down the hallway, startling the bandits into splitting up. The round one bolted for the back door, while the tall one ran to the kitchen. "Youch!" A scream came from the back. The round bandit had slipped on Henry's ice trap and landed flat on his back. Meanwhile, the tall one stepped on a pile of Legos Henry had scattered in the kitchen, hopping on one foot in pain. Seizing the moment, Henry slipped out of hiding and ran to his parents' room, using his dad's computer to send an emergency email to the airport, hoping it would reach his family during their layover. The two bandits finally regrouped in the living room, covered in flour and groaning. "We gotta get out of this nightmare," the round one moaned. "No way. We got played by a kid. How we gonna live this down?" The tall one snarled. "Find that little brat." Henry heard their footsteps on the stairs and ducked into his sister's room. He grabbed some harmless but foamy liquids from her chemistry set and poured them over the doorknob. When the tall bandit pushed the door open, foam sprayed into his face. "My eyes! I can't see!" he howled, rubbing his face frantically. Henry leapt out of the closet and bonk, smacked the frying pan against the tall bandit's head. He wobbled and collapsed. The round bandit charged in, but Henry yanked a bedsheet like a bullfighter, sending him tumbling into a closet full of stuffed animals, then quickly locked the door. By dawn, Henry had the two bandits tied up in the middle of the living room with his dad's ties and mom's scarves. They were a miserable sight, covered in flour, foam, and icy water. Then the doorbell rang. Henry peeked through the peephole. His family. The airport had received his email and contacted the Wilsons during their layover. They'd immediately booked the first flight home. "Henry! Our sweet Henry!" Mrs. Wilson rushed in, hugging her son tightly, tears streaming down her face. "Mom, I'm okay," Henry said proudly. "And I caught the Christmas bandits." Mr. Wilson stared at the two trussed-up burglars, then at his son in disbelief. "You did all this by yourself?" Henry nodded, eyes shining. "I turned the house into a jungle battlefield, just like the book said." The whole family took turns hugging Henry, his older siblings both guilty and impressed. When the police arrived to take the bandits away, one officer knelt and said, "Son, you're the bravest kid I've ever met. Merry Christmas." That night, the Wilsons gathered around the Christmas tree. Though they hadn't made it to Hawaii, Henry thought it was the best Christmas ever. His dad roasted a turkey, his mom baked his favorite apple pie, and they all sang carols together. Henry snuggled against his mother, watching the snow outside. "Thank you, Lord Jesus, for protecting little Henry,"